help senior Tzu Chi volunteers pass on their years of disaster relief experience to younger volunteers. We meet Zhang Jinsheng, an Italian restaurant owner who gives up serving meat after practicing Buddhism. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. We kick off the show in Taiwan. Tzu Chi volunteers continue to organize home visitations at the disaster-stricken Kaohsiung city. As victims return home to carry out the rebuilding process, Tzu Chi volunteers were also there to help. Upon seeing the volunteers, disaster victims took the chance to express their concerns. Xu Zhengming, who runs a convenience store close to the scene of the gas explosions in Kaohsiung, says he will never forget the moment the blast happened.
When it happened, I ran outside and it looked like the end of the world. After the explosions, everyone rushed inside and was too scared to go outside. I found myself the only one on the street.
A car landing on a third-story rooftop shows the force of explosions that night.
At around 5 in the morning, a reporter said he saw car lights flickering on the rooftop. Looking at it from the front of the building, we couldn't see it. But then when I went behind the building, I saw the car.
Xu had been remodeling his store, which was scheduled to reopen in mid-August. But the opening is now indefinitely delayed after the explosions. Tzu Chi volunteers went to visit the man, giving him an opportunity to pour out his concerns.
I was not thinking about fear at the time. Someone asked me if I'm afraid since so many people died on this road. I said no, because this just showcases the impermanence of life. There's nothing you can do about it. There's not enough time in the world to be afraid of accidents.
In the last couple of days, Tzu Chi volunteers worked their way into the heart of the disaster-stricken area. Some local residents took the chance to express their fear of the night of the accident.
I was shutting the door when the explosions occurred. No, we just came back from shopping. The explosions occurred late in the night. Had it occurred earlier, I would have been out there on the street.
I looked out and saw a big river in front of my home, with cars and scooters scattered around.
Ms. Shen lives very close to the scene of the explosions and has been feeling anxious since the accident. She says that she really appreciates the efforts of the rescue workers.
We are in fact the lucky ones among the victims. We really appreciate the support offered by the charity workers.
With victims still troubled, Tzu Chi volunteers will not stop their relief efforts or care in the area. To help comfort the Kaohsiung residents rattled by the July 31st gas explosions, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to visit each household to deliver personal care. Among them are over 100 volunteers from the Greater Taipei. Senior volunteers such as Luo Meizhu, Huang Qiuliang, and Zhang Suzhen, who all have years of disaster relief experience domestically and abroad, personally lead the way and use the opportunity to pass on their invaluable experience to the younger volunteers.
A blast victim in Kaohsiung warmly greets the visiting Tzu Chi volunteers and quickly begins to talk about her life. It is thanks to senior volunteer Luo Meizhu from the Greater Taipei, who quickly made the victim feel comfortable.
We are here to keep them company and to let them know that we care. We hope to be able to reach inside their heart to console and comfort them.
Delivering familiar warmth and care, volunteers learn about life after the recent gas explosions, giving the victims a venue to vent their frustrations and fears. Also veterans of home visitations from the north are Huang Qiuliang and Zhang Suzhen.
Several of our senior volunteers came together and led everyone down here. A total of 145 volunteers from my area came. Seeing the camaraderie really moves me deeply.
Though it is raining, everyone delivered the Master's blessings house to house, wearing raincoats or holding an umbrella.
Listening attentively to each blast victim, these senior volunteers serve and lead humbly to set an example for the younger volunteers and to deliver Tzu Chi's love to each affected household.
Besides the mobilization of Tzu Chi volunteers to Kaohsiung to bring comfort to those affected by the underground gas explosions, volunteers have continued to gather at Sanshan, New Taipei City, to prepare construction materials for Tzu Chi's prefabricated houses going to the Philippines to help Typhoon Haiyan survivors.
To help Typhoon Haiyan survivors in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to toil away in preparing the materials to be used for prefabricated housing. Volunteering his service, Li Mingzhong is very familiar with the procedures and the tools of the trade as he owns an air conditioning factory. However, Li feels working together with a common goal in mind outweighs expertise in the long run.
Although we are all volunteers, I feel this factory is much more proficient than that of a factory that's been ISO certified.
Many volunteers in training from Yonghe are also here to lend a hand on the assembly line and learn what it means to walk the Tzu Chi path.
Our prefab homes are heading to the Philippines. We have put our heart and soul into our work today. We are familiarizing ourselves with each step of the assembly process before we head to the Philippines.
Outside the building, a group of volunteers practice assembling the prefab housing despite the heat.
We are familiarizing ourselves with each step of the assembly process before we head to the Philippines.
With compassion in their hearts, volunteers are doing all they can to help those in the Philippines recover from the lingering effects of Typhoon Haiyan.
The Taimali River overflowed during Typhoon Morakot of 2009, destroying buildings, farms, and bridges. Zhang Fenglan was one of the many sugar apple farmers who lost everything to the flood, but instead of worrying about herself, she quickly changed into her Tzu Chi uniform to tend to other disaster victims. Now, 5 years on, Taimali has recovered from the disaster because of this circle of love, and its residents want to send their best wishes to the victims of the recent Kaohsiung gas explosions.
This whole area, nothing was left when the flood came.
Walking through her sugar apple orchard, Zhang Fenglan recalls the day when Typhoon Morakot struck.
The dike burst and the floodwaters just came rushing in.
The floodwaters destroyed Zhang's orchard and grocery store. Though herself a victim, Zhang immediately changed into her Tzu Chi uniform to care for others first.
The important thing is that you are all safe. Fortunately, we live by the sea. Let's just start from scratch again.
As the first Tzu Chi recycling volunteer in Taimali, Zhang realized the land needed a rest. Thus, she decided to become a street vendor after the disaster, but still continued to recycle.
Though my family business was ruined, my life's mission wasn't. I couldn't let the root of goodness die. After all, I did swear to follow Master Zheng Yan's footsteps for all eternity, so I had to carry on.
Thus, Zhang continued to drive her truck through communities to collect recyclables and also empower others to follow in her footsteps.
You can't just have trash flying around everywhere. Might as well pick it up so Tzu Chi can go and help others.
Though the stress from the disaster aged Zhang, she successfully got her sugar apple orchard up and running again in less than 5 years.
This is truly a blessing. After having been ravaged by the floodwaters, the land was severely damaged, but now it has fully recovered. Life has returned to this land once again.
Wu Suzong is another sugar apple farmer who lost everything to Morakot. As her husband suffers from liver disease, she is forced to shoulder her family's financial burdens alone.
At that moment, I just saw all of our efforts and hope washed away by the floodwaters.
Recalling the helplessness after the floods, Wu still gets emotional. But thanks to Tzu Chi's assistance, her children were able to continue their schooling, an act of kindness which prompted her to become a social worker.
I began to think that since someone has reached out a helping hand, I should not give up on myself. I need to be strong for the sake of those helping me.
Working at the Kind Home in Taidong, Wu can empathize with those in need, having been through the 88 floods herself. Helping set up a Tzu Chi free clinic at the home is the home's director. Identifying with the Buddhist charity, he decided to become a commissioner himself.
I have always thought the way Tzu Chi cares for people in need was wonderful. I think to be able to help others is truly amazing.
The gratification from helping others is immeasurable, and because of that circulation of love, Tai Mali has recovered from Typhoon Morka. Its rivers green and its land fertile once more. Certainly, life and hope has returned here 5 years later on.
I want to take this opportunity to encourage the victims of the Kaohsiung gas explosions. As someone who has also survived a disaster, if I can stand up again, so can you. Don't give up.
According to Taiwan Alzheimer's Disease Association, there are over 130,000 seniors 65 or older who suffer from the degenerative disease. As the population of Yunlin and Jiai counties is mostly seniors, DaAi Tzu Chi Hospital, which is located in Jiai, has established a dementia center which offers screening to help with early detection.
Beating to the rhythm of the music at a DaAi Tzu Chi Hospital meeting for dementia sufferers and their families, these seniors are not unlike children due to the effects of the degenerative disease.
Hiding my sorrows, I would face the wall and cry. Tears and sadness would just pour out. I'm upset for two reasons. One is I don't want to see my parents suffer this way. The other is I don't know how to help them.
As the disease takes a heavy toll on family members, at meetings for sufferers and their family, Tzu Chi volunteers will lead patients in activities to help with their symptoms, while family members get to take a break or share their pains and sorrows with sympathetic ears.
I'm constantly worried about them getting lost and don't know how to spend time with them. Coming to the group really helps because I can learn from others.
DaAi Tzu Chi Hospital has also established a memory clinic where doctors provide help for patients and provide important resources such as home visitations for family members. According to statistics, in Taiwan, there are approximately 130,000 dementia sufferers, 65 years of age or older. As much of the population in Yunlin and Jiai counties is around this age, DaAi Tzu Chi Hospital also has a rapid screening clinic where a diagnosis can be arrived at in just one day.
For many patients, it usually starts with memory loss. This is why those who suffer from the illness will get lost when they go out on their own.
Currently, there is yet no cure for dementia. Doctors can only help to manage the symptoms. In the meantime, DaAi medical staff will do all they can for the community through rapid screening clinics to help with early detection.
Tzu Chi volunteers recently visited a family in Taoyuan in desperate need of help. The two children who lost their father 10 months ago now live alone with their mother who has Parkinson's disease. Due to her condition, the children's mother is unable to work nor perform household chores. To help, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived to give their house a thorough cleanup and makeover.
Water leakage has left this wall moldy.
The water leaks here as well. It needs to be waterproofed here.
Tzu Chi volunteers are here to visit the family of care recipient Min Xie, a sufferer of Parkinson's disease. After getting her permission, volunteers begin to help with household repairs and cleaning. A thick layer of dust is everywhere, with the children's father recently passed on, and the mother suffering from Parkinson's for the past 14 years. The problem is that housework is not getting done in the shared household. 21 Tzu Chi volunteers get busy to scrubbing the kitchen and bathroom. Along the way, they also teach the two children on how to keep their home clean on their own.
Use your fingers to clean this part. See, it can be cleaned in a minute. Don't be afraid, just scrub it hard. You've got to help your mother more. Clean a little every day, and your home can be very clean.
Tzu Chi volunteers show various cleaning techniques, which the children quickly copied.
We have finished scrubbing 2 rooms and will leave the living room to the children to clean.
Facing her condition while needing to keep a clean house, care recipient Xie is thankful for the Tzu Chi volunteers and their efforts in cleaning and instruction.
No, they should do this.
The home looks much better after the cleaning. The volunteers hire a professional to perform waterproofing on the exterior of the house. Finally, a handrail was also installed in the bathroom for Ms. Xie. As Ms. Xie has long given to charity, she happily adopts a bamboo coin bank from the Tzu Chi volunteers, with the hope of giving back more in the future.
Next, meet Italian restaurant owner Zhang Jinsheng from Taichung, Taiwan, who has more than 4 decades of culinary experience behind him. After Zhang and his wife began to study Buddhism, they made a decision to give up serving meat and serve vegetarian food instead.
58-year-old restaurateur Zhang Jinsheng is a talented chef with years of culinary experience behind him. Having worked as an executive chef of a hotel, he would have to prepare a variety of meat dishes on a daily basis.
I prepared all sorts of meats. Back in the days, there were fewer restaurants, so business was really good, and we would have to prepare all sorts of meats in one day.
When business was booming back in the day, Zhang would have to kill countless fish. It wasn't until he and his wife began practicing Buddhism that they decided to give up serving meat and serve vegetarian food instead.
The master often talks about the 6 realms of existences. If you eat meat and kill something for its meat, you will reap the same consequences. I have always wanted to serve vegetarian food, but there was a lot to consider.
Although his wife supported his idea, however, starting a new business is hard work. During the first 2 years, business was rocky.
On some days, we will make less than $3 per meal, but no matter what, we continue to do our best with our new path.
Undeterred by setbacks, the couple worked hard to impress with their service and food, eventually garnering recognition from their customers.
I feel more at ease now, although business hasn't been ideal. I believe what the master says. If we put our heart into what we do, the Bodhisattvas will support us.
Providing decent meals at decent prices, Zhang and his wife hope to encourage more people to embrace vegetarianism and learn to cherish all beings.
Tzu Chi volunteers across the globe have also held blessing ceremonies to advocate the true meaning of the 7th lunar month. In our next report, let's take a look at the blessing ceremonies held in Australia, Canada, and Japan.
This is a promise made between a mother diagnosed with cancer and her daughter. This true story tugged at the heartstrings of many people at the blessing ceremony in Fukuoka.
She let her mom pass away in peace. This is a truly moving story.
Apart from the 7th lunar month being a month of filial piety and gratitude, it is also a time for practicing good deeds as well.
I'm very moved by how Tzu Chi volunteers care for survivors of the recent Kaohsiung gas blast and Pyeongju plane crash incident. I hope to have the opportunity to help out as well.
Meanwhile, members of the Chinese community in Toronto came together to pray for peace and harmony. A sign language performance presented by students of the Tzu Chi Academy conveyed the message of no killing. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers also prepared hundreds of vegetarian lunchboxes for participants to take home. In Sydney, Australia, young children showed their respect for life by promising to embrace vegetarianism.
Master Zhang says animals are our friends, and so we shouldn't eat them. She has already taken the Dharma to heart. She says from now on she doesn't want to eat meat.
While these folk beliefs have been passed down from generation to generation, coupled with the right beliefs, traditions can also be practiced with peace of mind.
Tzu Chi volunteers have been hard at work advocating the proper practice of the 7th lunar month, one of which includes abstaining from meat. Next, Miss Selangor and Kuala Lumpur volunteer Li Jiahao, who used to have a hankering for meat. It wasn't until Tzu Chi volunteers held a seminar in his company that he learned about the environmental consequences of a meat-eating diet.
Portraying the small animals being hunted and killed by humans, for Li Jiahao and his cousin Li Denghui, this was a wake-up call.
If you slaughter it today, it will be the one to slaughter you in the future.
After they are killed, their meat is then cooked or fried.
Li Jiahao used to have a hankering for meat. Any vegetable dishes were heavily frowned upon.
He shunned vegetables. He would just push it to the side.
Volunteers organized an event at the Li family's company, during which Li Jiahao realized the environmental consequences of meat production.
If we eat less meat, it can help sustain our world's resources.
Li Jiahao then decided to take on a personal challenge to become a vegetarian. His change in mindset subsequently inspired his family to join him.
He really didn't eat meat that day. I was so surprised.
No longer satisfying his own desire of taste at the expense of animals' pain and suffering, Li's heart is now content and carefree.
We go to Taiwan's Taichung City at the end of the show. Tzu Chi Foundation held an exhibition at the local Tzu Chi chapter, where paintings drawn by 5 care recipients were on display. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.